CookingWithAlia, the show that brings to you the flavors of Morocco. The holiday season is back, and Thanksgiving dinner is one of my favorite meals here in the US. So today I wanted to celebrate a fusion of cultures by making a Thanksgiving pumpkin pie with a Moroccan twist. You are going to love this recipe. So let's start! 2.5 cups of flour, 2 sticks of butter cut into cubes, and the butter has to be really cold, 6 to 8 tablespoons of ice cold water, and I added ice cubes to the water to keep it cold, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of salt. 2 cups or 16 ounces of plain pumpkin puree, canned, 4 large eggs, 1 cup of packed brown sugar, 3 tablespoons of honey. For the spices we will need 1 teaspoon of ginger powder, 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, 2 tablespoons of orange blossom water, and a large pinch of saffron, 2/3 of a cup of milk, and 2/3 of a cup of heavy cream. The first step is to mix the flour with the sugar and salt. Now we're going to mix the butter with the flour, sugar, and salt. It is crucial that your butter is very cold, so if you need to freeze it for 5 minutes before using it, go ahead. I'm going to use my fingers to mix the butter with the flour until I get a cornmeal texture. If at any time your texture is too warm, place it in the fridge until it cools down and then continue working with the butter. As you can see, the texture of our mixture is very grainy, and it also contains little pieces of butter that are pea-sized. Now we're going to add 6 to 8 tablespoons of ice-cold water to our flour mixture. Add the water little by little until you're able to create a ball out of the dough. However, the dough should not be wet. To test if there is enough moisture in your dough, squeeze a piece of the dough in your hands. It should form a ball. However, if you squeeze a piece of the dough and it looks dry and falls apart like it is in this part, then you need to add a little more water. Separate your dough into 2 portions. Roll each portion of the dough into a plastic wrap. Flatten the dough into a disc. Let the dough cool down in the fridge for at least 30 minutes before using it. You can preserve the dough in plastic wrap for up to 2 days in the fridge and up to 1 month in the freezer. Now we're going to roll the dough into a disc to fit the pie dish. The dough has to be cold, but if it is very cold, it will be very tough to roll it, so you have to let it sit at room temperature for 5 to 10 minutes before rolling it. Sprinkle flour on your working area. If the dough tears, wrap it like this and roll it again. Dough over the rolling pin to place it in the baking dish. dough to shape it in the baking dish. Using a cookie cutter, cut the extra dough in the edges. Pinch the extra dough at the edges with your fingers, like this. Brush the excess flour. Using a fork, make holes in the crust. Cover the crust with foil paper. Add dry beans to the middle of the crust to add weight. Place the crust in the fridge for 30 minutes before baking. Preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Remove the crust from the fridge and bake it immediately for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, remove the foil paper from the crust. Let the crust bake for another 15 minutes at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to prepare the pumpkin filling while baking the crust for the second time. First, we're going to cook the pumpkin with the brown sugar, honey and spices for 8 to 10 minutes in a saucepan on medium heat. Dilute the saffron in the orange blossom water. Eggs with the milk and heavy cream. Now that the crust is ready, we're going to mix the pumpkin filling and bake the pie. Now we're going to mix the pumpkin mixture with the egg mixture. The pumpkin mixture is hot, since we just cook it for 8 to 10 minutes. So we're going to add a little bit to the eggs to temper the eggs, then we'll add the rest. Now I'm going to pour the pumpkin filling into the crust. The reason I do it here in the oven is to avoid spilling the filling while moving the crust. Also, the reason I'm using a warm filling is to avoid a soggy crust, because if the filling is cold, it will take time for it to warm up, which will make the crust soggy. Pie until the filling becomes firm. The pie is ready when the center of the filling is firm, and when you shake the pie, the filling is not wobbly. Let the pie cool down on a rack for at least 1 hour before serving. If you want to save some time, you can prepare the crust the night before and bake it with the beans and without the beans. Then you wrap it with a plastic wrap and put it in the fridge overnight. Now all I have to do is warm up the crust in the oven for 5 minutes, Then pour my pumpkin filling and bake my pie. Serve the pumpkin pie at room temperature or warm with vanilla ice cream or whipped cream. Bon appétit!